Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. This is just two handsome guys having a quick chat, getting ready for the weekend. This is the Working Perspectives weekend pop in. So let's get this shit started. All right, Shake. All right, so we got the weekend coming up. What do we got for, you got any recommendations on something to listen, watch, do? What do you got?
Yeah, let's do some recommendations, Matt. My first recommendation is going to be the show Patriot. It's on Amazon Prime.
In June 2011, the United States learned Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was fucking around with new centrifuges. Egyptian physicist Mohammed Wawa al-Mashed was hired to produce the catalyzed uranium I was Tester Schumer shed while he was on vacation. Keep Iran from activating short-range nuclear weapons to destroy Israel. I got some really bad intelligence. Shot an old male hotel maid who was just making the physicist's bed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a spy thriller, but it has like a comedic element to it. It's basically
Dark
like,
comedy, too. Great.
It's a dark comedy. It's very, very bizarre. Every episode just gives you like another weird, bizarre thing. But I love it. I think that it's like a genius show. I've seen people online, like very slowly, people online are like, hey, people, have you guys seen the show Patriot? It's like, it's kind of cruising under the radar. Have you seen it, Matt?
I have. So honestly, too, and I don't know, for all the people, all our listeners who have worked in an office, I think everyone at an office has this guy where it's like he comes in, he does his job, he leaves. Like the guy I'm thinking of, he's awesome. He's the best. I won't say his name because he won't like it if I said his name, because he doesn't want people to know it. Yeah. And like, dude, but he's awesome. Like good looking Jack dude, but comes in, he's like with us, like with his buddies, like he's hilarious and he's funny and like really cool dude to talk to and stuff. But if you don't know him, he doesn't talk to you. He just does his work and he leaves. And I've always assumed that he's like an international spy as soon as he walks out the office doors, as soon as he does, which is kind of like this show. So, and I think everyone at their office kind of has that guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of this show. And I think it's true. And this show too, really, really good.
It's a great balance of how every single office, like you said, has this weird, guy or lady that seems like there's more going on under the surface. Like maybe they're, like you said, exactly. Like maybe they're an international, either they're an international spy or they're at least like some kind of, maybe like a dangerous person you don't want to mess with. And then conversely,
hitman for the mob, one of those.
And then conversely, if you do work for the CIA or for some sort of spy organization, you're still like, in a weird way, it's still like working an office job. How that you have an asshole boss, you don't want to clock in, you're hungover from the next day. And, that's what this show is all about. I think the guy that made it is it the guy that made Warrior, the movie Warrior? You're a big fan of that movie, aren't you?
Oh yeah, honestly. So in the fighting community, fighting movies are shit on big time, right? So like in the like boxing and MMA world, like fighting movies in general are shit on because the whole thing is like, that's not real, that's not how it is, blah blah blah. And to be fair, there are some real aspects of every kind of fight movie, right? Like there are like obviously like some of the fight scenes are over dramatized and dramatized or whatever it is, and things like that. Yes. But as far as there's two, like the big thing that got me, it's that it's two brothers from Pennsylvania who wrestled. That's what really the movie's about with Warrior. And the dude, honestly, the first time I watched it, I almost fucking cried. Dude, Tom Hardy, your boy. Tommy Hardy and Joel Edgerton and dude, Nick Nolte steals the fucking show. So good. Really good stuff, dude. And you got like Brian Callen's in there and things. Like it's a good movie, dude. It's a good flick, Rocky's kind of obviously the staple for when it comes to fighting movies. And even there's like a scene, right? And the one scene that I love in Rocky 1 especially is that he's laying in bed with Adrian and saying like, you know, like I don't want to, you know, I don't even have to win. I just don't want to be a bum from the neighborhood, another bum from the neighborhood, right?
Oh, come on, Adrian, it's true. I was nobody. That don't matter either, you know? Because I was thinking, it really don't matter if I lose this fight. It really don't matter if this guy opens my head either. Because all I want to do is go the distance. Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed. And if I can go that distance, seeing that bell rings and I'm still standing, I'm gonna know for the first time in my life, see, that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood.
You know, and she's like holding him, comforting, and like honestly, it does get like nerve-wracking and stuff, like when you're coming down to the end and you're just thinking, what else can I do? And there's all these different things. So there are some realities to it. Obviously I've never had a woman hold me while I was saying I didn't want to be a bum from a neighborhood, but there are things like you need, like, you know, like sometimes you are starved for affection just because you're killing yourself to do certain things, but whatever. So yeah, but as far as Patriot is a recommendation.
Patriot's a recommendation, and that guy did not make Warrior, by the way. I was wrong.
Oh, well, I know the guy who made Warrior also made Miracle.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. But maybe that'll be your recommendation is Warrior. That's one of your.
Well, actually, I have another recommendation.
Yeah. Hit us with your official recommendation. That was a side recommendation.
So for all you people listening, you all know by now that I'm a studious man about town. All right, total intellectual. You know, button up, pleat kind of cardigans and brown shoes and you know that the whole deal. Four glasses and all that schmutz, right? But one thing about being an intellectual man about town, I'm a big books guy. I know you wouldn't think about that by listening, but before, you know, back in the day, I used to read books physically, and it all started because I thought girls would think that was hot and think I'm kind of like a Good Will Hunting if I'd read a bunch of books.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, it fucking worked.
If I ask you about women, if you ever give me a syllabus of your personal favorites, you may have even been laid a few times. But you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy.
Yeah, he had the Damon haircut.
Yeah, I had the Damon haircut. I pretended to be a genius and read a bunch of books, and you know, and everyone thought I was a super smart. Yeah. I'm smart.
I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
Look at me, I'm smart.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you have the Robin Williams beard from that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had that too.
Your move, Chief.
So yeah. But then instead now I don't have time to read, right? Because I'm I'm a co-host of an award-winning podcast, as well as an executive producer on an award-winning podcast. Then I also have like a normal job, and I also teach boxing at, you know, the gym and everything like that, right? So, and I have a kid and a wife. So sorry to mention them last. So I don't really have time to sit down and read a couple pages, right? But what I do is I do audiobooks on Audible, right? And one of the big things I want to do with this podcast is I want some fucking people to talk to about these goddamn books. Okay. There's only a few. Jason Bowers, friend of the show, great guy. I got him hooked, right? Finally, I had someone I can talk to, but me and him would love to bounce off ideas. I'm so into this, and you'll see it on our Twitter that I'm tweeting authors of the books that I'm reading.
I've seen this. Yeah, so and they respond.
Yes, and I've tweeted him on my personal Twitter and on the Working Perspectives Twitter. I did that on both because I don't think he would respond to me again on the personal one. But I hit him up asking him, because the book he wrote is going to be a massive hit series or movie when it's made, and it's going to be a worldwide phenomenon. It is going to be a massive hit.
What's it called?
If it's made correctly. Right? If it's made like it should be and doesn't get fucking Disney'd up, right? If they HBO this fucking series, it'll be like Sons of Anarchy fucking huge, right?
Like Sons of Anarchy mixed with Game of Thrones is what you've said before, right? What's the book called?
It's more like Sons of Anarchy mixed with Lord of the Rings. So the book and Game of Thrones. So it's a series, right? It's the Lotland series, and there's 3 books in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Gray Bastards is the first book, right?
Yeah.
The True Bastards is the second book, and then I just pre-ordered the 3rd book called The Free Bastards, right?
Ooh.
So these books are, honestly, I wrote a review on Audible and it was posted on there as well. You're welcome. But these books, right? They follow a group of orcs, half orcs, right? So if everyone's familiar with the fantasy world, there's all types of different fantasy characters out there. Always the villains, though, are the orcs, right? So it follows these half orcs, and the time period you would kind of think it's like maybe the 1600s era. You know what I mean? Like it's swords and bows and arrows and spears, and they're kind of just getting introduced to gunpowder. But that's not the surprise, not in the first book, kind of later on. Right? So, but they don't know really how to weaponize in it yet. So, but there's still magic in there. But either way, so you have your normal fantasy characters where you have humans, right? Then after humans, you have orcs, which are like the main villains, right? But what happens is, in this fantasy world, this ain't your fucking grandma's fantasy world, all right? The orcs love themselves a good raping, okay? So what'll happen is an orc posse will attack a town, right? And like they'll destroy the victims and have their way with them, and then you have these half orc babies that come of it, right? So sometimes the half orc babies are kept as slaves, but then sometimes they're free and they go live in this area called the Lotlands, which is kind of like, you have to picture like a John Wayne Western movie, like kind of like The Searchers, like they're just out. It's like the Old West, so like they patrol these areas. And in these areas, it's filled with like orcs and, different like centaurs and
it's
elves.
Like lawless. Is it like lawless out there?
Lawless.
Like you don't want to get caught. You don't want to get caught in a
yeah.
bad spot. Okay.
So essentially, the land that they patrol is it's called the Lotlands, but it's kind of like the no man's zone in between where the orcs live and where the humans live. Yeah. Right. So these guys kind of patrol here. The elves live there. The elves are like kind of like Native Americans, but they're like the baddest dudes going. Then you have after the elves, like there's centaurs, who are the most feared animal or the most feared creature in the book, right? Yeah. And then you have the half orcs that are broken up into like a bunch of different gangs that they call hoofs, right? Mm-hmm. And the half orcs, instead of riding horses, they ride like razorback hogs with huge tusks. Nice. That can like skewer an orc, you know what I mean? So like they're just fighting orcs the whole time, living in the Lotlands. They're just going to brothels and banging it out with some huas, Then there's little people too, dwarfs. There's like a dwarf community and there's magic and like, dude, honestly, it's so badass. Like when you're listening to it, it's action-packed, nonstop, great storytelling, great character building, right? Really gets you enveloped, dude. And like you're listening to this book like in the fight position.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, great. I've done some audiobooks. Now let me ask you this question: when you audiobook this, is it strictly in your ear with earbuds? Not earbuds. Whatever.
I do Samsung. Yeah, Samsung buds. Yeah.
So you use your buds and they're in your ear. You don't play it out loud. right? Is that
No,
okay?
no.
Because when I used to work at a car dealership, I would listen to Cormac McCarthy books on audiobook.
Okay. Yeah,
and,
sure.
And he does No Country for Old Men.
Yep.
And a bunch of other really famous books.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a very much an intellectual shake. So you can
he
name
does
some
The
authors
Road.
I might know.
So anyway, one of the books he does is called Blood Meridian, which is all about like the scalping raids and stuff down on like the Mexico border and stuff.
Oh,
really awful. Not family friendly stuff, but I used to listen to them out loud.
No.
And at the car dealership, and people would come walking by, like coworkers or customers, and they would hear these like awful things going down.
Atrocities.
So I was like, oh shit, I gotta take this into the earphones. So it's a good move keeping it in your ear.
That's 100% what I do. Also, and my wife, it drives her nuts, but whatever. But if you're into that, another book I did, it's called Empire of the Summer Moon. And it's about like the Comanches, right? The Native American tribe, the Comanches, right? Were like the most feared tribe in the Old West because they were brutal, like so vicious and brutal. And this is kind of like a history of them taking over, because a lot of people don't know this, but like horses didn't arrive on the American continent until like the 1500s.
Yeah.
Right.
It came from the steppe, right? Isn't that exactly? They came from the Russian steppe or whatever.
So the horses to America were brought here by Spanish conquistadors.
Oh, okay.
Right. And they brought horses, and then like the horses just kind of population blew up, and Native Americans went from being very territorial, and they still were, to having these horses and being able to travel like hundreds of miles. Right. So, and like the Comanches went from being like this little, like lives in a cave kind of dweebs to being the fucking horse lords of the plains. Like no one did the horses like the Comanche. The Comanche were like really badass.
That's so cool.
It's a really good book.
What's it called again?
And like it's Empire of the Summer Moon. And it's very interesting because the way Comanches lived, they were very violent and always fighting and stuff like that. Their population was never really blown up, right? So what they would do is when they would like kidnap a village and something like that, a lot of the times they would take like if it's a baby, they're killing it, and if it's an adult, they're killing it. But if it's like an 8-9-year-old, they're keeping them and they're making them part of the tribe. And part of the book is they talk to these people who were like kidnapped and made part of the tribe, and then they would be rescued years later and always run back and go back to the tribe because they preferred being with a community. It's very fascinating. Yeah.
All right, so people can tune into both of those books, the bastard books.
But I'll tell you right now, it's the Lotland series. The Gray Bastards is the first one. People, please fucking listen to them and then let me know, and I will fucking talk to you about them, because I cannot like they're fucking incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
And also hit us up on
that book series. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. So and hit us up on social media with your other book recommendations, audio book recommendations, any damn recommendations, and we'll dive in, because especially with this pandemic, people need content. I mean, for God's sakes, they're listening to our podcast. That's how desperate they are. So
yeah, how about it? Last year for my birthday, my wife got me a year subscription to Audible, which I had already done. So when you get a year subscription to Audible, depending on the one, you get like 1 credit a month, which you can use a credit to buy a book. I had already purchased a year subscription, so I was getting like 1 monthly credit. Then she purchased me another one, which gave me 12 monthly credits. Then 3 of my friends each purchased me 3 credits, right? So I ended up having last year 30 credits almost, and I went through all of them and had to buy more. Big on Audible. There's a bunch of books too, like the Warded Man, the Demon Cycle series I've told you about, Shake, which will be another incredible show if it's made correctly. But yeah, all of that, and so talk to us about it on our socials. What else we got, Shake?
That's it. I think we should wrap it up, and we'll, people, we could be reading off our social media crap to you, but it by now. Find us on Instagram.
Yeah, find us Insta, YouTube, Twitter. at Working P Pod. Everything else, Working Perspectives Podcast. We're the best one, award-winning. We got the best editor and producer in the game. Okay, but is this it, Jake? Are we done?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man. I mean, unless you got anything else, you got anything fun this weekend? Probably not.
Nope. Swimming with my daughter on Sunday mornings, but that's about it.
Oh yeah, outside, I assume.
No, indoors. All right. Well, that was this weekend's Pop-In. So as always, I'm Matt Lavelle. He's Tom Byers. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast Weekend Pop-In. So yeah, hit us up on the socials. Love to chat to you. Be interactive, and then watch out for some more videos. And then, hey, if anyone contacts the PAAA, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that it, Shake?
That's it. Keep the change, you filthy animals.
You're a tough kid. I ask you about war, you probably throw Shakespeare at me, right? Once more into the breach, dear friends. But you've never been near one. You've never held your best friend's head in your lap and watch him gasp his last breath looking to you for help. I ask you about love, you probably quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. Known someone that could level you with her eyes. Feeling like God put an angel on earth just for you. Who could rescue you from the depths of hell. And you wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel. To have that love for her be there forever. Through anything. Through cancer. And you would know about sleeping sitting up in a hospital room for 2 months, holding her hand, because the doctors could see in your eyes that the terms visiting hours don't apply to you. You don't know about real loss, because that only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much. Personally, I don't give a shit about all that, because you know what? I can't learn anything from you I can't read in some fucking book. Unless you want to talk about you. Who you are. And I'm fascinated. I'm in. But you don't want to do that, do you, sport? You're terrified of what you might say. Your move, Chief.